Hello, my name is Mary Barkwith, and thank you for your interest in Symbiota2. As the title suggests, we, and we means the people down here, are aware that this is the fourth year of a 3-year project. And we're sorry about the delay, but we are determined to finish it. So what we'll be doing in this slide is going over what has been accomplished and also when we expect to be delivering on our promise. So with that, first of all, what's the goal of Symbiota2? Quite simply, it's to make Symbiota easier to modify and extend. A lot of you know Symbiota well and love it. I do too. And you may say, well, why do you need to modify and extend it? But the thing is, when you get a very popular program, then people have lots of suggestions as to how it might be made even better. And Symbiota is like all others in that regard. And so when we first submitted this proposal, we were thinking about the things that we most wanted to see in Symbiota. And Ben, who is one of the Ben Brandt, who was the developer at that time, and Curtis convinced Neil and myself that what would really be more effective would be to put in a proposal to reorganize Symbiota so it was easier to modify, so we could bring in more developers. We're not linked too much with any one developer. So the goals then are to make it easier to modify and to engage more people in its development, or at least to enable more people to become engaged in its development. And just to give you an idea of the problem, the original code is in PHP, and this red diagram here is a summary in PHP metrics of its complexity. Red is complex, and complex means high maintenance costs. Green is less complex and therefore lower maintenance costs. And this is the starting point. So you can sort of say, well, we wanted to make it something like that. And the first part to doing that is unpacking, restructuring the code, giving it a more modular framework, and then adding to it a plugin architecture. And the first 2 years of the project were devoted to that aspect. And at the end of 2 years, we thought it was done. And unfortunately, we also lost Ben Brandt as a developer. He had other opportunities he took up. But fortunately, Neil had already made contact with Evan Dunn, and he has persuaded Evan to come in and be the developer on the Symbiota2 project. And one of the things that Evan did after looking at all that Ben had accomplished and what we needed to do, he suggested that we ditch PHP and we use only 3 programs, TypeScript, Angular, and TypeOrm, all of which work together well. And if you read their advertising blurbs on the right there, you'll see that they are absolutely superb. They are advertising blurbs. But Evan said that they are very good, very useful, and make writing code easier. That was pretty well a key point too. So not only do these through then promote the development of clean, simple, documented code, the resulting code is more extensible, more scalable, and more flexible than it would have been in PHP and TypeScript, and then the other 2 platforms. It would also respond to queries faster, so that if you asked it to do something, you'd get your response faster than on the PHP-based program. And another very important aspect is that young developers or would-be developers are going to be keener on working something and demonstrating their abilities with programs that are written in TypeScript, Angular, TypeOrm than they are in PHP. And that is, since we were trying to attract more developers, this was a critical thing too. So we knew it was a lot of work, but said, yes, let's do it. And Evan got down and really started doing the conversion from the PHP-oriented one to this new version of the code. And if he hadn't had COVID over Christmas, it probably would have been done by the end of the year. As it was, it extended into 2021. And during that time, he got the core, the 2 cores, the API core and the UI core done. And I'm not a developer, so I really can't explain that too well, other than to say this was critical. It's the sort of foundation bits of Symbiota. And then you have occurrence, 4 plugins: the occurrence plugin, the collection plugin, the taxonomy plugin, and the image plugin, and then they call on different bits of the core and put them out towards the user interface. And in terms of the plugins, the occurrence and collection plugins are almost completed. The taxonomy plugin is further behind. We hope to have it completed in a week or so. And the image plugin probably will take another week. We can possibly do that at the same time or slightly thereafter. We don't think those 4 are going to take too long. And once those plugins are developed, creating the functionality that's in Symbiota won't be hard. That's what I'm told. So Symbiota 2, when we first release it, will have the functionality of Symbiota. And then after that, we'll do more. I'll also have a migration module. If you want to see the progress, there's some websites here. The code is at GitLab. There's a demonstration website, and there's a front end. There's for the back end, and there's another one for the front end. And you're welcome to go there and try them out and take a look. We are deliberately making the front end look somewhat like Symbiota to ease the transition from Symbiota to Symbiota 2. The other thing we're going to do with Symbiota 2 is to expand the developer pool, is not only simplify the code and develop a plugin architecture, but we're going to add some functionality to it. And the programs written in R, I'm going to show how you can attach R codes or other programming languages into the Symbiota 2 core. And this will bring in a whole other range of developers, people that are biologists but have learned some programming skills, and they've got this. They really want to integrate data from Symbiota into some other workflow. They will be able to do so because of the restructuring. And so Will has got some programs that he's going to integrate into Symbiota 2, and importantly, write up the instructions on how he's doing the integration in a way that other people can use it. So if you are a programmer, a biologist who can program, then you will be able to add abilities to Symbiota 2. That's another way of expanding the developer pool. We're also looking at expanding the user pool, but that's particularly for working outside the United States, because Symbiota is pretty well taken up in, people are accepting it very easily in the United States. But if you go outside the United States, there are many countries where they actually are not sharing any data from their collections yet, even if they have collections. And one of the reasons is because they don't know how, and there's no help available to them. The cost can also be a factor too. So I've been engaging with people in Pakistan. There's a whole bunch of people. We're up from having 0 people sharing data to having about 20 herbaria sharing data. And now what I need to do is focus on developing the how-to pages, resources, and to provide a mix so that you can watch a video the first time, but from then on in, perhaps you can flip through a PDF that's been printed out and kept in the lab, because that'll be easier than having to watch the video. And one of the things that I'm advocating for, and Ali, who's designing the website, I think will be able to design for us, are data entry pages that are tailored to a country. Because a data entry page is where people first encounter Symbiota in many respects. And so you want this to be as easy as possible to do well. And so one of those things, excuse me, that will make this easier is using administrative regions for the country. So for instance, for Pakistan, it's country, province, district, TSIL. We are skipping over division, which becomes between province and district, because it's not used on herbarium labels. So animal people might end up making another decision, I don't know. So that's the sort of thing we're going to do to expand the user pool. Looking ahead, there are some things we would like to do in terms of improving communications within and between networks, and also for facilitating the integration of collections that are part of a trait-based collaboration, so they can also be part of other different collaborations. And this simply means making it so that people that are in charge of collections know how to modify the script that generates the DWC archives to say, give so-and-so access. And ultimately, of course, we would like collections to be accessible through the web of knowledge. But these things are sort of later things. The first thing is Symbiota, some add-ons, and help pages. Those are the core features we are looking to have available soon. And if you wish to engage with us, we welcome it. There are open webinars. You get about a week's warning. The notices go out through the Symbiota listserv on iDigBio, through Taxicom, and through the Herbarium listserv. And these are run very informally. It's a review of recent progress, and then comments and suggestions. They don't last more than an hour, but the last one closed after about half an hour because no one had any further comments or suggestions. GitLab, you can add issues there, and an issue isn't something where there's a problem. It's something you would like to see added. And at this point, must say that we cannot promise to address all the issues that are added. On the other hand, the developers do read these and use it to guide their priorities. And then the website that I mentioned in the last slide will have a contact page that you can contact. I'll probably be the recipient of the emails, but I will, of course, forward anything to anybody else. And if you tell me you want it to go to somebody else, sure, that's where I'll send it. And so now we come to the very big question, when is it going to be available? We want to have basic functionality. In other words, it will function like Symbiota, or enable you to do all the things Symbiota enables you to do by the end of August. Or maybe early September, but we don't want to go beyond that. And we think we've got that in hand. Then we're going to add some of those additional programs and features, and the help pages are going to be a bit longer because I was thinking we would have to have different ones for Symbiota2, so I hadn't put much effort into them. Though we'll draw on some that I've already done, and I will add some more. So with that, thank you. That's an overview of Symbiota2 as it is now. It's coming.